This is rental car number 74, and today I'm driving the 2018 Jeep Wrangler Sport 4x4. So if you hadn't noticed, we had a snowstorm last night, so it's pretty cold out, so I didn't get a chance to take the doors or the top off of the Wrangler, but I still got a chance to drive this thing for a couple of days, put a couple hundred miles on it, so I think it's worth kind of looking this thing over. But I will promise that I'll rent this again in the summer so that we can really take it apart and have some fun with it. So first off, this is a rugged four-wheel drive off-roading vehicle, so it's not going to meet my needs of a lot of highway driving. But it is cool to look at because you have all these exposed screws all over the place, the hinges on the doors are exposed, and generally it gives you a very rugged feeling, like you could probably take this apart all on your own with just one Allen wrench. So it's worth noting that this one has a couple of bells and whistles on it. This is the black appearance group, which means it's got a black fuel door, black tail lamps, black tubular side steps, all for an additional $800. It's also got a hard top headliner for an additional $500. So when you add that all in with also the 5-speed automatic transmission, an extra $1,400, I'm guessing the MSRP on this one comes to about $35,000. Oh, and I almost forgot, air conditioning is an additional $1,300. So that's how you get to about $35,000 for a Jeep Wrangler Sport. So with that in mind, let's pop open the hood, take a look at what's underneath. So this is a 3.6 liter V6 engine, 24 valve VVT. Comes with a 5-speed automatic transmission. As I mentioned before, that's an additional $1,400 option. Kicks out about 285 horsepower and does okay on fuel economy. 17 in the city, 21 on the highway with an 18.6 gallon fuel tank. So while I'm closing the hood back up, I wanted to mention that the plastic on these hinges right here, I don't feel that great. I feel a little bit cheap, and I would be worried that these are going to break eventually if you're the kind of person that opens and closes the hood quite a bit. Alright, so you got a V6, you got 285 horsepower, which is pretty good, but look, this thing just is not designed to be driven for a long time on the interstate. The cabin noise, let me give you just a brief feel for that. Well, the cabin noise is pretty bad. This is not designed for comfort. This is designed to go off-roading. So I gotta say, for me, it didn't work out so great. I wasn't loving it, especially in the cold, icy conditions. I found that I was slipping quite a bit even when I threw this thing in four-wheel drive. I guess what I'm saying is that if you're a guy like me who does a lot of commuting for your job, I'm not sure the Wrangler's the right car for you. But if you want something fun to go backwoods and in, well, I bet this thing is a blast. So with that being said, if you're still interested, let's jump inside and let me share a little bit about this car. First off, no keyless entry. You do have to use an old-fashioned key to lock and unlock this vehicle. And then if you jump inside, you'll see that you get a pretty Spartan but nicely designed interior. So here's that key I was talking about. Nothing special here, just the Jeep logo on one side, nothing on the back. And it is a real key, which I was loving. I don't know why, but it feels good to have an actual key for a vehicle. So let's use it to turn this vehicle on and take a look. So here's the steering wheel wrapped in a really soft leather. Just a couple buttons here to play with. Right here, this interacts with the very limited options in the gauge cluster. And then on the other side, on the right-hand side, you get your cruise controls. And then up above, you get a gauge cluster with 4 nice-sized dials and then some little bit of digital displays built into the bottom. I'm a fan. These were easy to use and view, and as you can see, you get a temperature setting and a compass, which is nice to have. If you can't tell, S because we're pointing south, and 0 because it's really cold out today. Shifting your gaze over to the left, manual controls for everything. So you have an actual handle to roll down the window, manual door locks, the works. And that makes sense because remember, these doors do come off, so you don't want to have a lot of electronic components that have to be matched up perfectly when you put those doors back on. And since we're down in this general area of the car, I wanted to mention one kind of small criticism. There's not a great place to keep your left foot in this car. Usually you have like a sloped area right here to rest it on. It's just a flat surface, and I found myself being pretty uncomfortable while I was driving this car. So just something to take in mind. But switching back to positive, you do get some really nice oversized side view mirrors on the Wrangler. I found them to be more than adequate. You can see all around the vehicle, and really I was very happy with these. Since we're talking about mirrors, rear view mirror, pretty standard, nothing special here, works fine. It is kind of fun that above that mirror you get Jeep's logo right there built into the actual windshield itself. It's kind of a nice touch. And then down below there you get another nice touch. It's a little cutout for storage with a removable shelf system. It's just a great place to keep your odds and ends while you're driving the car. I found myself throwing my phone, my toll pass, my wallet, those kind of things right here. And then below there you get your CD player, radio with Sirius XM, but not a whole lot else. I mean, there's no Bluetooth connectivity here, so you're just getting really the bare bones basics. And I gotta be honest, I kind of like this. It's just simple and easy to use. There's nothing complicated about this. Just hit that knob on the left to turn it on and off, and you're pretty much done. But then below there you get two adjustable large vents and a small, kind of awkwardly sized storage area. Can't fit a pen in there. I'm guessing something really nice goes there if you spend some more money and get a higher end Wrangler. And then a little further down from there you get your climate controls. Now remember, air conditioning is an extra $1,300 on the Wrangler, so we have that. Three very simple dials all in succession: fan, temperature, and then adjusting where the vents blow from. Very simple, very easy to use, and honestly, worked fine. I was able to get the car to a decent temperature setting, even though it was cold outside, pretty quickly. And then below there are buttons for the hazard lights, traction control, all that. But what's important, I think, is that you also get a 12-volt DC power port right here in the form of a cigarette lighter. It's in a good spot so you can connect your phone without any problems. And then there's some cargo netting on the very bottom to give you just a little bit of more storage room right there. And then a little bit behind there, you get your controls to shift the car from two-wheel to four-wheel drive. I found this stuck a little bit. It was actually kind of hard to shift through the three settings, but you know, once you give it a little push, a little muscle, it does kind of pop in place. And to the right of that, you get your gear shift. Nothing special here. This works fine. And I like the silver top on this. It gives it a little bit of shine. It's kind of nice to see. And then you also have a manual pull lever parking brake right here for you. And next to that, two decent sized cup holders. A little small in my experience, but these worked fine for everything I had. There's also a center armrest that opens up in two different ways. It's got two different triggers on it. So the first way is just to open up the large storage area. And then if you press the second trigger, it releases a small shelving system where you can store some additional items. And then finally, to wrap up things in the front seat area, you do also get a small, pretty small, glove box right here by the passenger side. When you open it up, you'll see that there is a decent amount of room for you to store your owner's manual and registration, but not a whole lot of space in addition to that to store anything important here. Now, even though this is the two-door version of the Wrangler, there is a back seat with some decent room. Here's what it looks like. I climbed in. I'm about 6 feet tall, and I was kind of surprised to see that I had plenty of legroom. I wasn't lounging by any means, but I still had a couple of inches in between my knees and the seat in front of me, which I think is good enough. Not a whole lot of amenities back here for your passengers. You do have some cup holders along the floor, and then on the back of the center armrest for the front seat, there's these two strange looking kind of hooks right here. I guess you could hang something on, but beyond that, not a whole lot of other things for your passengers to take advantage of while they're riding in the back seat. But headroom is pretty good back here. I was able to sit up pretty tall, and I was nowhere near to bumping my head on the ceiling. Remember, this is the hard top liner. It's an additional $500 option, so that's why you're seeing kind of a plasticky feel to the ceiling. But all in all, I think it looks pretty nice. Alright, so this is a smaller vehicle, but there's still some storage space in the very back that's worth talking about. Now remember, there's no key fob here, so you do have to use your actual key to lock and unlock the back. And once you get it open, you'll see there's not a lot of room back here, but there's some cool things that I want to point out. So first off, the door opens in two ways. You slide that bottom part with the spare tire on it, and then you also have to pull this glass up to open up the entire back for you. So this is with that second row seating up. You'll see there's not a whole lot of storage space back here, maybe enough for some groceries. And underneath this area, you can kind of lift up the floor. There's also a small storage space right here, probably to keep some tools back here. Thankfully, that rear seat folds up pretty easily. You just pull up on this lever, give it a gentle push, and then it collapses forward to open up quite a bit of space back here. Now this definitely isn't a large storage area with the seats folded up like this, but do note that this is basically a big cube of space, so you can get some larger items back here pretty easily. Also, someone left me another treat. I always find something in these rental cars. This looks like maybe the head of a toy that somebody lost. Anyway, my long-winded point here is that even though this is a smaller vehicle, you still have some decent storage space back here to take advantage of. And then just real quick in closing, I wanted to show you how easy it is to fold this seat back. Really, you just give it a very light tug, pull up on this little handle right here, and now that rear seat is back in place for your passengers. It really is that easy. What wasn't easy for me is closing this door. You cannot do this, close the door, and then try and close the glass, right? Doesn't work. You always have to do the same thing, which I never remembered to do, which is close the glass first, and then you can close the back door. By the way, then you got to pull out your key because you're going to have to lock it manually. All right, so that is the 2018 Jeep Wrangler Sport 4x4. I know I was a little bit critical of this vehicle at the beginning of this video, but I really think it's important to understand that this is not like a Ford Edge, right? It's not an SUV. It's an off-roading vehicle, and you really should only consider buying or renting this if that's what you want to do. Because driving on the highway like I did, it wasn't great. But with that said, after 2 days, about 200 miles, most of it on the highway with some pretty crappy snow, I'm going to give this one 3 stars. Now, don't get me wrong. I liked renting the Wrangler. I'm glad I did. I'm definitely going to rent it again in the summertime. But for $35,000, $36,000, I was just expecting a little bit more when it comes to comfort and drivability. I know this is an off-roading car, but I still think that they can do a little bit better with the cabin noise and with the tech inside the vehicle. But that's me. If you feel differently, please leave me your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you'll join me next time when I rent my 75th rental car. I'll see you then.